request for information, or the calculator, for example, is sort of one of those lower complexity models. So the lower the complexity, the lower the scale, the sweeter the spot and fit for no code and low code.
Welcome everyone to the RevOps Recruiters Podcast. Adam, Stefan, how are you guys?
Man, I'm doing great. We got a guest with us today.
I'm fantastic.
That's
It's awesome
right.
to be here.
Awesome. We have Stefan Quartemont.
Wait. Hold. He has the same last name as you?
He does.
There are more than one.
Okay. Got it. So
Yep.
what's the relation?
So Stefan is my cousin.
Basically twins.
We're basically twins, born on September 2nd, born on September 1st, same year.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Born in Germany, born in the U.S. So when we were kids, we would say we're born on the same
So
day.
like adjusted for time zone differences, we're basically the same day.
Basically
is what you're saying.
the same
Basically.
day.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Got
That's
it. So
right.
twins. So other than having your same last name, why do we have him on the show today?
Stefan is doing awesome work in the low-code, no-code space. So he is the CEO and founder of Qrew out in College Station, Texas.
Got it.
Bunch of crazy Aggies out there.
That's
That's
right.
what we do.
Right. That's right. So we're going to get into all of that. Really quickly, our mission here is to provide insights and best practices around finding, hiring, and retaining top revenue operations talent.
That's right. And we're your hosts. We got David and Adam from RevSearch. And of course, we've got Steph with us as well today.
That's right. And by the way, I am wearing, we did kind of the soccer thing, international soccer. When you go to a game, you
coordination.
trade jerseys at the end of the game. We did that with our hats. So I've got his logo on my hat.
Yeah,
he's
I
cool.
don't also run a company called Rapid App Solutions. So no, this is
That would be Raz.
Raz.
That's right. Well, Steph, start off, man. Give us a little bit of color. Give us some background on you.
Absolutely. So I got started in the no-code space about 2015, 2016. Found a early leader technology called AppSheet. Some of you may have encountered it. I know Adam has touched it at different times. It was kind of a bolt-on to Google Sheets or some of the other cloud-based spreadsheet tools. Allowed you to build a mobile app from data in your spreadsheet. So it would let you build an interface while the data lived in the place where you normally want your business data, right? And so I found this, I started messing with it and tinkering, and I was like, man, this is absolutely incredible. And I reached out to the company. They were a great, small, nimble team, really doing great things. I got involved, joined their partner program, and the next year got invited to be a premier partner for them, started building a professional services team. Long story short, AppSheet got acquired by Google in 2020. So that was a massive upgrade for them. And we kind of stayed with them as platform experts, joined into the Google professional services arena, partnered with them. And so I've been helping them assist hundreds and hundreds of companies adopt, AppSheet specifically, but also no code in general. How do we do this? What type of advantages does it give companies? How is it helping people win? Why is it valuable? And we've kind of helped them socialize that with the biggest companies around.
Sure. Yeah, that's fantastic. So today, man, we just want you to share that expertise, right? And we're going to try to tie this into RevOps and how we can see RevOps using these low-code, no-code solutions. So thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I think a great place to start would be at the very beginning with the question of what is low-code, no-code development? Why don't we start there? Let's unpack that.
Solid question. And I wish there was a better term for it. It's just kind of funny. Lots
I like
of words.
it. Low-code, no-code.
Low-code, no-code. I think it's getting more accepted. But really, it's a Swiss Army knife. Yeah, Adam, you said, what does this mean for RevOps? It is a Swiss Army knife. It can touch all parts of ops. It can touch customer-facing solutions. A lot of people are out there using tools like Bubble and Builder and building SaaS solutions on no-code foundations. And some of these companies are, extremely successful.
Sure.
For us, I'm focused in on the operations space. So how does no-code and low-code enhance business operations? All across the board, really. So we have worked with some RevOps. We have worked with all sorts of other parts of the organization. But really, what low-code and no-code is it takes, software fundamentally helps you build a scalable, more efficient business process. So how do we do, this 5-step process? How do we multiply that across more teams as our company grows and scales? We need something beyond just the pen and paper, or, it's the digitizing of business processes. Low and no code allows that to be faster, allows it to be accessible to more people. So you don't have to have a professional programming team. You don't have to have deep programming knowledge or deep database knowledge to be able to digitize your business processes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So give us, if you can, now I don't want you to give away some trade secrets somewhere, but what are a couple of use cases, a couple of things that you've seen people where maybe they were struggling with application of or the rollout of something, and they brought in this low code, no code environment, and it helped them have a win there?
Yes. Yeah. So customers, I think that kind of are in two spectrums when I first meet with them. Either they are in the spreadsheet world or on paper, and they say, man, we've got this process. It's slow. Here's the gap. We're losing communication time here. Things are falling through the cracks. We need something more streamlined. We need something more digital, add automation. We want to make this more efficient. Or they're coming to us from big box software and they're saying, this is our Oracle system. This is our SAP system. This is our large CRM, Salesforce. It's great for what it is, but we need something more specific. We need to isolate this one workflow. I need data out of this system. I maybe need data to go back in this system, but I want a custom process here that is generating for me some custom KPIs so that I can manage this process better. I can iterate on my business model. I can iterate on this operational model, find what's working, and have success with my team. So on either ends of those spectrums is where people are starting. They're accelerating off of yesterday's tools, or they're taking the big box software and they're trying to break into it and hack their own workflow solutions together.
Sure. Yeah. One other question. So just if we kind of dive a little bit deeper in our definition of low code, no code, right? So this is literally, I don't have to know any programming language. I use these tools, and is it a WYSIWYG environment? What does it look like if I've never touched this before and this is brand new to me? What am I going to experience if I were to dive into something like AppSheet?
Yes. So AppSheet in particular falls in the no code realm. So my differentiator between low code and no code is that low code takes traditional programming principles and dresses them up, makes them more accessible, makes them easier to use, maybe drag and drop interfaces for things, but it's the principles and the way you're stacking things together still follows maybe your HTML patterns or, when you're building workflows, you're using things that are basically there available to you in JavaScript, or the environments, the relationship between UI and database maybe fall under traditional programming patterns. And so I think for business users, it's harder to break into those. Usually you also have to extend them with code to add your specific business logic or really make it tailored to your solution. The no code realm abstracts away programming principles. So it says, I don't want you to think about how we're relating database to your user interface. I want you to think about, what does this database field mean to you? And how do you want the user to interact with it? And so that's where AppSheet lives, where you connect spreadsheet-like data. So tabular is sort of the term, but basically anything with columns and rows. Okay. And you connect it and you tell AppSheet what is each of these columns. It has some AI running in there to assist you to assume things about your data. But you'll tell it what data that is, and then it will automatically build table views for you, form interfaces, different UI controls for, maybe you said this is a number field, so I'm going to give you number type inputs, let you have decimal level control or different types of things like that. So, and then the logic building on top of it is more like spreadsheet logic.
Got it.
So that type of sum, if, parenthesis type stuff, it's not JavaScript, it's not complex. You're not telling the computer how to run and operate. You're just describing your business logic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So when I think about this in relation to revenue operations, a lot of where RevOps leaders play, obviously across the entire organization, business operations as a whole, but there's a lot of work, on the go-to-market side. So we're thinking top of funnel, mid funnel, sales, right? Sales, marketing, and success. We're always talking about that full funnel. Where are some of those applications for this type of solution? I know we talked earlier about quote to cash, CPQ. Can you give us a little bit of intel there? What have you seen? Where have you seen some of the best use cases?
I think some of the most common are bespoke CRM experiences. And like you said, CPQ, the estimating arm of building proposals, getting quotes together. doing some of those calculations that, you may want to define those business rules hard and fast or have some data behind those, but so your sales team can quickly build out quotes and then send those in document format or send them in some sort of digital medium to the client prospect so that you're reducing that time to close, things like that. So we've definitely helped a lot of people build custom calculators. I know one company, their sales arm we worked with was an agricultural company, but they wanted their sales guys in the field to be able to build quotes with their farmers right there. So AppSheet has a really great offline, stable, mobile-friendly user interface as well as data paradigm. So we built a calculator that took hundreds and hundreds of SKUs of possible supplies and things that they would build out these estimates with, and just taking a few different variables about the customer's use case, they could have a proposal ready to send right there. So they could show it to them on the phone, and as soon as they got back to internet, it sent them an email and a PDF, nicely packaged, ready to have that next conversation about how can we move forward, what's the best fit solution.
Yeah.
That's great. What about in terms of, when you're thinking about the different solutions, I'm thinking about the big systems like, the big CRMs we come up against, Salesforce, HubSpot, right? And people want to know, one of the biggest questions is always integrations. How do they communicate? What does that look like with AppSheet? And how does AppSheet talk? Is there that one-to-one connection, and can you?
Yeah. So for some CRMs, there is a one-to-one connection. Salesforce specifically with AppSheet. Other no-code tools will have tier 1 integrations with certain data providers. AppSheet specifically does connect to Salesforce. So for this particular use case that I talked about, we were tapping into their client database and their opportunities database inside of Salesforce, exposing that programmatically to which salesperson needed to see those things. So we had some user roles and permissions built in there, but they could easily access the core data that was in their big system that they needed to know to have a proper relationship with the customer and, not have redundant conversations. All that was available to them, and that's a tier 1 integration.
Yeah.
Now, something like HubSpot for AppSheet doesn't have a tier 1 integration, but HubSpot specifically does have an open API. So if you're savvy with tools like Zapier or Integromat or PipeDream, these sort of low-code, no-code tools to move data between systems with open APIs, you could maybe drop some data from HubSpot into a spreadsheet, connect AppSheet, have some of your own data tables from another system maybe, and blend those things together into one experience so you can have a data-driven business process that you're building out, and then maybe send data back in when it's ready to go back in.
Yeah, that's great. I think this is a great foundation for right who this should be for and how we could use it. So let's go to the next part of the conversation. If I'm a RevOps leader and I'm sitting there saying, I know I've got some problems that I need to solve, and maybe something like this would help me solve them. How would I assess? How should I be thinking about? Should I go and custom develop something? Should I go and buy a piece of technology right off the shelf that maybe has some configuration but no real customization? Or should I find something like this, a solution, a low-code, no-code solution that I could utilize there? How would you recommend that people begin assessing that?
Yeah. Understanding your technology landscape or even your business requirements can sometimes be a tedious task.
Yeah.
You will oftentimes have a vision in your head. I need this one piece optimized. And there's a lot of assumptions that you have around there, or things that you're not really thinking about. But a really easy heuristic or tool to imagine is low code or no code right for this is thinking about maybe an XY axis. So on the vertical axis, you have scale. How many people do I need to roll this out to? Maybe like 10,000 at the top and 1 at the bottom.
Right.
Anywhere kind of in the middle there, 1,000 or lower, you're really going to find the sweet spot for most no-code tools. Some can go higher. Some use cases can go higher on any platform. But then on the horizontal axis, you have complexity. How many workflow steps is this? Do I have to write custom integrations to my SAP system or my Oracle system? Do I already have a homegrown database, but I need some help getting access? Or is there a lot of business rules that are around this process? It's extremely tedious, lots of steps. It needs compliance checks at various points of entry. So there's multiple user personas that we're supporting. that's the far end of the spectrum.
Right.
Or the light end is, no, this is one form. I need a form so that my people out in the field can submit a new lead when they come across someone, or request for information, or the calculator, for example, is sort of one of those lower complexity models. So the lower the complexity, the lower the scale, the sweeter the spot and fit for no code and low code.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. What I think you used the word of before, just the agility of an organization, right? So talk through the benefits of these solutions when it comes to agility.
Yeah. Low and no code is like the Swiss Army knife, right? Your cardiovascular surgeon is not going to use a Swiss Army knife.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I got you, buddy. I got my Swiss Army knife.
I guess it depends, where you're at.
Yeah, if you're in the middle of the bush in Alaska, maybe you're grateful he's got a Swiss Army knife with him.
Thank God there's a Swiss Army knife.
But that guy has a unique purpose-driven tool, very expensive, very specific for each task.
Sure.
Right? This is your huge custom software builds. And there are specific operators that say, I know how to use a scalpel. I know how to use these things. And I appreciate the constraints and flexibilities of them. I'm going to use those.
Right.
But then there are other people that, need versatility. They need to be able to quickly experiment and say, okay, this was the previous business process handed to me. Mm-hmm. I inherited this, but I don't believe in this process. I don't believe in the assumptions here. The way that we're interacting data, these KPIs and things that I'm supposed to be reporting on, I'm not seeing the value here. I want to remake my system, and I'm going to I want to do it experimentally. I'm not going to do one big drop and just change everything, but I want something nimble that I can work on, iterate, get validated, that type of research-driven, experimentation, iteration-driven mentality, which I kind of sum up into agility. That a core value for your operational model is agility. That's when the Swiss Army knife is really your best friend. And no and low code doesn't stop there, right? We build use cases and support use cases that are out to tens of thousands of users, have crazy complex things, are connecting to the big box softwares and data. But really, when it's the most valuable and most effective is you have a cultural value in your organization for agility. This is the type of tooling that's going to support that, enable that, and make that core value really shine and bring value to your organization.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you saying is it's a lot more about the people that utilize the tool and the mindset and the culture and values of the organization that really make this come alive, as opposed to the size or scale of the organization. Because you've said there's solutions in bigger companies too that you've been able, problems you've been able to solve through this type of no-code development.
Yeah.
And I know you shared a little bit about there was a bigger company and you went, why are you guys adopting this, right? There was a question there. Can you share a little bit about that?
We were working with a marketing team for one of these big tech giants, right? Top 5 companies in the world. And their marketing team for their cloud platform reached out to us and said, hey, we want to utilize AppSheet to replace a custom software that 40 engineers built 2 years ago. And immediately I'm sweating because right on my scale, that was like high scale and high complexity. Right. And you want a no code tool to do this. Right. Like, that no code tools have limits. They have boundaries that you have to play in because it's not as flexible as custom software. But I'm going to give you full disclosure. And if you still want to go for this, let's do it. So I gave them full disclosure. They bought in, and we're 6 months into the project. We've already released a few different versions of the tool, and it's really showing success. But we are having to bend the tool around backwards. And so in my check-in meetings with the client, I'm like, help me understand, why are you doing this? You have the budget to do custom software, okay? And you are having to come to grips with the shortfalls of no-code tooling. Why is this still valuable to you? And they said, very simply, we view ourselves as the most well-funded startup in the world. We keep that entrepreneurial mentality and edge, and we need the agility, the ease of use, the ability to trash it and rebuild it if we want to, because we want our process to really fit what is the market is demanding right now.
Sure.
So, that type of mentality and really the cost efficiency of no and low code allows you to build disposable software.
Yeah.
Most custom builds are going to take you a year plus, and they're not disposable. The type of purchase order that you're going to have to get to bring a custom coded software solution to life doesn't allow for it to be disposable for most organizations.
Sure. And a lot of those softwares that we're buying off the shelf, they want 2-3 years of commitment on a contract, right?
Yep.
I love the idea of using this as a way to test, to iterate, to prove out a concept first, make changes to something that maybe was already existing.
Yep.
And then if it fits, and maybe you can't do 100% of what you need to do with this, you can look for a tool that will allow you to do that. But I think of in the RevOps space, one of the things that our leaders have to do is oftentimes before determining what KPIs they should be looking at, what reports they need to be running, what the dashboard should look like, the first thing they do is they extract data out of a CRM and they go and massage it inside of Excel. And they look at it from a lot of different angles, show it to other leaders, determine if they can gain insights from it. And to me, that's that low code environment. I haven't yet built the dashboard that we're going to look at all day, every day yet. I'm trying to determine what's important and what's going to work. Then once I've got that, I'm going to move back into my CRM and build out my dashboard, right? So this is an environment where RevOps leaders could say, we need to have a tool that will allow us to do X better because we have a problem here. But I can probably throw together something on my own or with a small team, see if this is going to work, test it out, and then begin to say, okay, now how do we roll it out across the entire organization or whoever's going to need it?
And especially in a time like this where operating lean is a priority, right? We're looking at macroeconomic influences and organizations are shifting, right? They're shifting and focusing on we need to run a really tight ship. And this is one of the ways to do that. Is a very low cost way to do that. You shared something else that was really, really intriguing. I think it was about your internal team talking about a tool and saying, hey, there must be a better tool out there. Right? I think it was a project management tool potentially. And you said, guys, it's not about the tool, it's about the process, right?
Yeah. I love building software for people. I love customizing it. I even love getting into the code and in the database and really love the engineering aspect of it. But when it comes to running a business, your technology has to serve your process. Your technology can't be your process for you. Right? Especially if you're doing something novel, like low code and no code is like traditional software in some aspects, but in other ways, especially in the delivery of it, it's not. And so we can't rely on existing big box softwares that are built for one paradigm of delivery. We have to write our own delivery system. And so that is more for us. We needed to validate and still need to validate that what we're doing in each step of delivery works. It's adding value. Does it need to be adjusted, or is this now what we consider a best practice? And I want my software to be flexible enough in this early stage to where I can both understand it. So it needs to be simple and understandable, and it needs to be flexible so that I can keep iterating on my business process without having to go to a new software. So, sometimes my team doesn't like it. They're like, oh, there's this really nice comfort feature in such and such software. And, I'm like, I feel that. I totally want everybody to have an efficient work experience, but really investing and understanding why is my process not working in these places, challenging the assumptions, getting data validation for the things you think drive the business forward is really important. And so I love the agility of low and no code tools so that I can lean on them to get that validation and make sure that I am really connecting with my business operating model and that it is effective in the market.
And buying that shiny new tool doesn't equal adoption. Right?
Yeah.
So it really is all about, guys, we need to look at the process first. We need to believe in this. We need to figure it out. So often, this is what we hear. We hear bloated tech stacks, across these organizations because everybody and their mother wants to buy a new tool to do X. And if that process is not set and, that ground level work is not done, it's not really gonna.
It's uncomfortable to get in the business process. You have to deal with people. You have to deal with history. You have to deal with customers and look your failures in the face, look somebody else's failures in the face that was in the seat before you. And just moving a new tool in won't wipe those things away, right? So using technology to support your endeavors into the deeper business process is really what I love to give customers. And I think is a good use of technology rather than just sort of get that thing under the bed. Quick,
Right.
mom's coming.
Get rid of it. Make it hide. Make it hide. So let's transition here a little bit and let's try to equip a few folks. So if we're talking to RevOps leaders and they're saying, "Hey, I've never touched this before," how do they get started? Where would you send them? How do they explore this? Where do they start there?
Yeah. Everybody has access to a spreadsheet, right?
Probably too many, but yes.
Yes. You got Smart Sheets. You're in the Google ecosystem, or you're in Microsoft and you have Excel. Getting started with using macros or anything, some of those are actually less approachable for people. And so maybe jumping to a tool might be the better next option. I really enjoy AppSheet. I mean, it's what we do for the most part, but it allows you to add a lot more automation, take the process a lot farther without having to learn any type of macro language, JavaScript, Google Apps Script, VBA, any of those things can take you a lot farther. It integrates well with Google Drive or Office or SharePoint. So document generation, getting that report upstream, for whoever needs to see these things, automating those processes is really a great, using AppSheet is really helpful for that. There's also a lot of tools like Smartsheet has some no-code based implementations. A lot of the big box softwares are actually rolling out their own low-code or no-code option.
Yeah.
Power Apps is Microsoft's I would say low-code tool. You are going to have to extend that with VBA if you really want to dial it in. But SAP is starting to come out with a no-code option. Salesforce has a couple of no-code options. Some of them are harder to find, may not be supported in your license tier, but try one out. I would say think about what your core data is and Google.
Yeah.
What's a no-code tool that connects to X? So data is most important, really.
Yeah, and I think David, when we talk to companies all the time, one of the things we hear probably more often than any other thing that's not their core CRM is we need a CPQ. We need an estimating tool. Right now, everybody's using Excel or they're using Google Sheets, and we need something to do that more efficiently. Well, you and I know, and those companies probably know, going down that endeavor it's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of time. There's probably going to be a lot of times where you're going to banging your head against the wall trying to figure out the right application. And something like an app sheet is a great next step to explore, and it's going to cost a lot less. You're going to be able to iterate very quickly. I've personally worked with clients where we were dealing with we needed to give folks the ability to estimate in the field when they're out there meeting face to face with clients, instead of having to come away from that meeting, build an estimate and send it by email 3 days later. We wanted them to be able to estimate, and so we built a rough and dirty app that they could use in the field, but we were able to give customers a number, something they could work with, and a salesperson can then read a face and say, okay, is this going well? Am I way overpriced, way under budget? And so if you're in an organization where it seems like the next step is this huge CPQ implementation, maybe there's a solution between those where you are today and where you think you need to go that's with something that's a low code or no code solution, right?
Yep.
And shameless plug, we have the expert on the podcast, so we're going to drop his LinkedIn profile in the show notes, website if you want to talk to somebody who knows everything about no code, low code, and has helped plenty of businesses.
Yeah. And I love to talk to people. I don't care if you like AppSheet or not. It doesn't matter. If you're thinking about implementing technology and you just want somebody that's in that realm,
right, to
just point me in the right direction, love doing that. Don't want anybody doing something that is not going to be a great fit for their organization. Yeah. And there's so many options, so it helps to get an expert opinion.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you guys even offer, you do work with companies, but you also offer training as a part. If you want to, if you're someone who's looking to grow your own skill set, then again, you guys could be a good partner for that as well.
Yeah. Again, the value proposition of no and low code is that you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
So some organizations say we don't have the time or the effort, or we don't have somebody to man that position. That's fine. We can come in and serve as a professional service partner, but it's best when the person closest to the business problem, who has the business logic in their head, is the one putting it into the software and iterating with their team and users, that's the best case scenario. And so we built a suite of training products to help organizations adopt this technology, as well as to coach executive leadership, IT organization leadership for how do we do this. The term is citizen development. How do we get people outside of the IT team building solutions, building and digitizing their workflow processes? How do we do this safely? How do we keep data clean? How do we gather some of that data? Because getting data at the peripheral end of your business, that's money, that's value. And so you want that rolling up into core data systems so we can help guide organizations along that journey if they're ready for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Steph, man, thank you for everything you shared today. I think you added a lot of value to the folks listening in. So really, really appreciate you sharing.
Awesome, guys. It's fun. Y'all are doing a great thing, really empowering the future of sales and the future of sales operations. So it's fun to be on the bleeding edge with you guys.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the RevOps Recruiters Podcast. If you enjoyed it, we'd love it if you subscribe. You can do so on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, if you've got feedback on things you'd like to hear us discuss on the podcast, leave a comment on YouTube and we'll check it out there. Finally, if you're looking to make your first or next RevOps hire, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. You can schedule a time to connect with us on our website at www.revsearch.io. Again, thanks for listening.